So thank you very much for joining us, everyone, if there is anyone listening out there. So my name's Callum Hughes. I'm co-owner of Elevate Artists, an artist management company specialising in, obviously hence the name, elevating talented up-and-coming artists within the underground music scene. Today I'm joined by my very good friends Dan Edwards and Josh Mayer. So, Dan?
So I'm Dan Edwards, and I own a wellbeing company, and we not only provide wellbeing for communities and corporate businesses, but we're going to be working alongside Elevate Artists to help them achieve their wellbeing goals with their artists, because we all know the music industry is can be very solo at times, and can leave you feeling like you're in a bit of a dark place and on your own. So providing support is always needed, really.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you very much as well to our special guest today, the main man, Josh Mayer.
Yo, Saturday, man, you good?
All good, mate. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks
All
for getting
good.
me on.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure
So,
to be here.
the main focus of our podcasts, hopefully the first of many, is we're calling it Get Into the Root series. So we're going to be looking to discuss various hot topics within the industry. Obviously, hence the reason having you on a special guest today. Quite a big focus at the moment is on the positives and negatives of social media. So I've known you now for probably a good 3.5 years. It's been an interesting couple of years. Every time we encounter one another,
Yeah,
so it's always
Got some
interesting.
stories to tell.
I know, man. Probably not for the podcast either. So yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting to get you on, looking at your kind of influence and your presence on social media within the underground scene. Kind of before you went into Love Island, and then kind of how it's taken off afterwards, mainly through the underground scene, and anything else that you're working on. So
Yeah.
how do you think it's changed from kind of like before you went into Love Island and afterwards?
In terms of the underground scene,
I would say mainly, yeah.
well, before any of that, I'd say I was already quite established in the underground scene, music scene within Birmingham. And the main thing I'd say, since going on Love Island, all that kind of stuff's happened, it's just helped more promoters and more people kind of know who I am. So when I do get a booking, artists have a certain pull to them.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
Sure
Yeah.
So when people kind of see that name on a liner, they'll be like, oh, that's that guy from so-and-so, or I know that guy. So one thing that I've noticed is more people will be at my sets.
Girls.
Maybe.
Can't answer. His mum's listening.
Yeah, that's the one. But I wouldn't say it's helped me in terms of getting bookings, because that's one thing I do like about the underground scene. It's not like that isn't something that helps you to get bookings. You know what I mean? It's based solely on like your talent. Do you know what I mean? That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I would say to help, what I said, just touched on before, is more people coming to my sets.
Yeah.
Because they recognise the name.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
No, that's a good thing, definitely. I mean, it's an interesting point that you touched upon there when you were saying, I would like to think definitely in your case that you still get booked because you were already DJing within the underground scene before you went into Love Island. It's not as though, I think you do see some people, I'm sure you'd agree, they didn't really DJ, they weren't really involved in a certain area of an industry, then they go on to reality TV, then they know that with the platform that they've got on social media, they can now break into DJing or clothing or something like that. Whereas I think, like you said, the good thing is you still get booked mainly because people know that you're a good DJ, not because they think, oh, he's not that good, but because he's got the old swipe up link, he'll probably sell it. He'll probably sell us an extra 50 tickets. Let's put him on a 10 to 11. I think that is definitely good. But this is my personal opinion. I mean, Dan might notice it as well for a lot more time that you've spent obviously with. Many of you might know Dan is the partner of Fleur Shaw, who I'm managing. Obviously, that's not all he's known for. He is the man behind me, myself, and mind. He is the master of well-being. I must emphasise that.
She's not even here, and she's
But I would say at times it does feel as though with some promoters that they do book I'd say people who are DJing that might not necessarily be not that good, because that's a bit of a harsh word to say, but I think they might look at them as a bit more of a pull, because they'll think, you know what, if we have that name on a lineup, because not even necessarily that they've been on Love Island or reality TV, because they're a bit more of a public figure, people know that sells tickets. And whether you look at that as right or wrong, it depends. From my perspective, I'd say I'd rather book someone because I know that they're, like you say, talented at what they do, and they can read a room well, and they can play good music, not because they'll just turn up and play your Beatport top 10 and sell you an extra 30 tickets. But I suppose it depends on what perspective you look at it. But I mean, would you say that it's largely been, in terms of the underground scene, it's been positive?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because like for me, before, see, this is the mad thing with me. So I'd say before I did any of the reality TV stuff, my SoundCloud is where I uploaded all my mixes, etc. And I grossed 325,000 plays, all from my own hard work. Doing mixes that I liked, and then getting a good reaction off people. And that didn't need a platform as such like I have now to do that. So that's where I knew I had the talent to do it. And you know, this is the mad thing. Since I've done all of the reality TV stuff, I've put 2 mixes out, and they haven't done anywhere near as well as my old mixes.
Do you think it's maybe because the following that you've attracted now? I mean, bearing in mind, I used to look at your Instagram and think, oh, he's got a decent following here. Before you went into Love Island, I think, what am I doing wrong? Obviously, this is what I'm doing wrong. That's what you're doing right. But like I'd say you already comfortably had a good 7,000-8,000 followers before you even went in. But whereas you'd say now, I'm sure you would probably agree to a great extent that I think you're probably on 60,000, 70,000 now. Most of that is probably not many people that are that interested in underground music. It's probably just more of a commercial kind of following. I think
this is what promoters will touch on what you said before, need to understand that people can engross a following within the space of a couple of months, but it's not always the right people.
Of course.
So if they put a swipe up link, you can still get extra tickets. It's all flipping 12-year-old girls.
They're not coming to Digbeth at all.
But yeah, like I say, the mixes that I have put out since, they haven't done anywhere near as well as before. Now, that was because I had a long break from doing mixes from SoundCloud, and I think that's the reason why. So to me, it's good and bad in a way, because it's good because it shows me that people were listening because I was consistent with it.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? So like, it's not, you can't just do something on that gets you a lot of followers and then expect to put something out and then get the reward from it, because that's not how it works. You have to put the work in still. Do you know what I mean? And that's,
of course.
That's what I've learned from that. Do you know what I mean?
And that's why, to be fair, like we all get on well, because I like how, unfortunately, you do get some people when they go on, you know, the reality TV shows all day, all of a sudden become a public figure in another area, that it does change them. But it's good to see that you still remain just as humble as you were before you went in, which is really good, man.
Always, man.
But I mean, would you say, in terms of you know, your presence in the underground scene, would you say that Love Island has helped to catapult that, or would you say it's probably more in other areas that you're working? Because I know that you do a lot of work with fitness and clothing and things like that.
I'd say in the underground scene, it hasn't helped me as much. Now, I was strictly an underground DJ before everything, and now since everything that happened, I've started doing R&B as well.
Okay. Are you enjoying that?
Yes. I know, because my heart
is in the underground
scene, because that's the music I love, and that's the music that I love to play. Now, this is where the scenes are completely different. So if you're someone who has got a big following, been on TV, done whatever, the R&B scene lap that up, so they'll put your name on the front of a poster.
Of course.
Like, oh my God, so and so from da-da-da is here. Let's all go there. And that's what gets a pull. Whereas this is why I love the underground scene, because it's completely different. People will see that name and they're like, oh, well, what tunes are they made?
That's what it's about.
Do you know what I mean? So then people are there for the music, not because of the clout that this person has got. Like, and that is why I love the underground scene. So I'm not saying I don't love the R&B scene, because I do actually like the music, but it's just not as much. The passion isn't there as much for me as the underground scene. So to answer your question, going off on one. To answer your question, like it's helped me with DJing as a whole. because
but not so much the underground scene,
not
though.
so much the underground
Yeah,
scene.
yeah.
Because it's helped me as a whole, but not so much the underground scene.
Yeah.
So would you say the R&B scene's more about like who you are and like sort of
Definitely.
the following that you've got?
I think so, yeah. But that's no one's fault in particular. It's just the way the scene is.
Yeah, of
And
course.
how it works. Because
It
that's
is
what's
like-
going to make them the most money at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is like two completely different worlds. I find that when I was younger, going out in your likes of Arcadian and Broad Street, and then I took a wrong turn into Digbeth, and I'm like, whoa, this is completely different. But it's definitely it's benefited me massively. I'm sure it's all helped us out in some way. I know that probably we spend a bit more time in the underground scene compared to yourself, Dan, but I'm sure you've had positive experiences and
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I met Fleur, innit?
yeah, well, there you go. It's all good.
You know,
Yeah.
brought her up again.
Yeah, but I mean, I suppose the main thing is as well that there is a lot of positives to, you know, the social media influence that you've been involved in. I mean, it's interesting to speak a little bit more though about, if you don't mind, your kind of negative experiences.
Yeah.
And any kind of, because I mean, I'm sure we can all be honest. I'll be as upfront and honest as I can, because that's the whole point of these podcasts, is to say that you might look completely happy and like you're living the dream on every single photo, but what goes on behind closed doors when you've got some of those negative comments is
man,
it's completely different.
it's true. It is very true. So for me, I'm quite a confident and comfortable person in who I am. So a lot of people, what I see a lot on Instagram is, I've got to come off Instagram because I'm comparing myself to everyone. And that's what I see a lot. So for me, that wasn't really the issue, because like I said, I'm quite comfortable and confident in who I am. And I feel like I'm in a good place with myself. So that wasn't really my issue. My issue, obviously arisen. Is that the word? Arose. Yeah, that's the one. Get there in the end. The problem for me only arose after obviously going on Love Island, etc. When I felt pressure to have to post daily. Now, it got to a point where I was waking up every day thinking, I've got a fucking. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. Carry on.
It got to. Sorry, you can edit that out. I got to a point where I'd wake up first thing in the morning, and my first thing I think about is, what can I post today? What can I get a picture of? What can I talk about on the story today? To keep up my interaction on my post, to keep up the likes. So to keep up the interaction on my post, to keep up the likes, so that when I did have something big news to share, I'm DJing here, so and so, that more people would see it, so I can get the interactions on that post, so that promoters see that it's doing something for them. Do you know what I mean? And this is what I was worried about, that if I didn't post for a couple of days, then I'd lose the interaction, and then I wouldn't get as many likes, and then I was kicking myself for not getting as many likes, thinking, why am I not getting as many likes? And it's just
how did that feel? Like,
vicious
when you
circle.
sort of stop getting as many likes, or
It's just pressure. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
you start beating yourself up, thinking, why am I not getting as many likes? Is it because of this? Like, is it because I haven't been in the gym for 2 days? Is it because, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like,
All
you
those
just
negative thoughts. And
it starts getting. You start basically having a war in your own mind, and it just got to a point where I had to just bin it off for a few weeks. You know what I mean? And I think you sit there and ask yourself, why is that even a thing? Because all it is a number on an app. It doesn't make you any better or any less or any worse of a person. It's an
Good
app.
knowledge, good advice there, folks.
Literally,
Make sure you're listening.
That is all it is, a number on an app. So why does it mean so much to you or me as a person? It shouldn't, because if it got deleted tomorrow, you would still be living the same life that you would anyway. Without it.
I think it's like, because it's become sort of a social currency. So you know how, like, you know, we view these powerful people in the world to have a lot of money, and they're business owners, and money's a currency. Well, how many thousand followers? That's a number, and that's another currency. And also so's the amount of likes that you're getting per post. So it's almost like we're idolising people that are getting more likes and they've got more of a following.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're deemed to be the influencers. And that's how it sort of, then obviously you as the influencer, it has you feeling pressured to sort of fill
feel. Yeah. I know what
just
you're saying.
sort of like feel the needs and the expectations of like what you think people are expecting of you, and then that pressure then builds up, and it has you almost sort of
trapped in a way,
trapped and second guessing yourself all the
time.
Yeah,
it's another thing as well, because you have all these people that message you on a daily saying, "Oh my God, you're doing so great, you're smashing it, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
I'm not smashing it. It just looks like I'm smashing it.
Yeah, of course, because you're realistically, how many of us, but we talk about it a lot now, I think more as a society, because of the amount of underlying issues that it's causing. I think there's been a lot of kind of video podcasts recently. Like I watched one with Christoph. He did one about life as a touring DJ, and I think obviously all anyone in the underground scene, or I suppose anyone on Instagram, is naturally only going to upload all the positive days. You're not going to upload a photo of you looking like shit, having a bad day, because I'm only going to get -1 likes for that, like -17 followers or whatever. But I think it's interesting that we touch upon the more negative aspects of social media to get your kind of input on that, Dan.
Well, I suppose like you said then, like you were saying about, you're only posting the best bits. Everyone's living their best life, but everyone's viewing that story, of the influencer, and they're like comparing their life to them, and like, oh, how come I'm not doing that?
Yeah.
But then you, as the influencer, feel pressured to post that. So it's almost like a cycle. Do you know what I mean? They're watching it and they're feeling shit, and you're having to put it out and you're feeling shit because it's not reality.
Both parties are feeling pressured in a way.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like you're putting a filter on it and you're sort of changing reality, and
most of it isn't reality. It's not reality at all. I'm sure all of us will speak openly on this about, okay, there is a lot of positive experiences, but it's important to let people know that even, like you say, there's no doubt that you've done well for yourself for your age, but it's not everything it's cracked up to be. Definitely.
Yeah. It's a bit of a sticky one, because you, like I said before, you get these messages from people saying, "Oh my God," because I'm a personal trainer by day, as well. So
hit him up, guys.
Hit him guys always. So for me, I feel obliged to stay in shape 24/7. Now, that's a challenge in itself.
Of course,
I'm sure people can relate to trying to eat healthy 24/7.
Breathe in.
Yeah, breathe in.
So opposite you too.
Yeah, and then when you're having a few bad days, I've at this so and so and so, you feel bad because you feel like people are looking up to you, and you feel like you're letting these people down. That are kind of your role model for them, in a way.
That's a lot. That is a lot of pressure, especially like you're. I mean, you're an adult, but you're still not that old at the same time. And obviously, I know it's good that obviously you've spoken to me before. Hope you don't mind me saying you've got a good relationship with your mum and people like that. Yeah. And even when you're an adult, it's still good to have that support network around you, because if you're trying to deal with that, solely, but obviously by yourself, it's a lot to. It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah. And imagine, like, when you are feeling that high pressure, imagine then thinking, oh, well, I can't eat this and I can't eat that. Obviously, we do want to eat healthy the majority of the time.
Exactly.
But feeling so pressured that you can't touch this and you can't touch that leaves sort of, leaves you wanting more then as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just, it's all because you have so many people at your fingertips. If you rewind 50 years or so, you would only really know the people in your area, whereas now everything becomes so discardable and disposable, because you've got however many thousands of people at your fingertips in seconds.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So it's just, it's crazy.
It is pretty mind blowing when you think about it. But when you look at, I mean, you've got a decent following, but you think about the people who've got like millions of followers. It's I don't know how people cope. Well, unfortunately, people don't always cope with it, do they? And that's why you have some pretty tragic results in the end. But another point I wanted to touch upon was just before you went into Love Island, you had a brief hiatus in the White Isle, didn't you? In Ibiza. So I think that is a massive point for me as someone. I've been to Ibiza twice. You've done a season. 2016.
Yeah.
and you
Your
did.
season
You did.
inspired me.
Well, if I remember, I don't know.
And how long did you do before you went into Love Island?
3 months.
Yeah.
I was there. I was meant to do 6.
Yeah.
But obviously it got cut short.
Yeah. Well, I suppose there's worse ways to get it cut short. To be
Yeah,
fair,
yeah.
but. I mean, like I say, as someone I've not done a season in Ibiza, and it's great to see that there's so many young, budding promoters and other people from the underground music scene that go out there, and that's almost like their break. That is the go-to place for like networking and really establishing a name for yourself. But I think, especially the likes of you two, every post that you upload whilst you're out in Ibiza, it's always, I'm at Elro, or I'm at DC10, or I'm on this balcony, or I'm at Ocean Beach. These are just examples of places, but everyone thinks, I wish I had that. They're living the dream. But as someone who's not even done a season, I can quite confidently say from everyone I know, or the majority of people, it's definitely not what it looks like. All the downsides to it.
That was one of the worst times of my life.
Say it's yeah.
And you're posting a picture of like your lean physique, yourself on a beach, and it is a lie, because when I was I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for everybody else.
Of course.
But when I was in Ibiza, I was struggling really bad with my own mental health.
Yeah.
I'd been struggling for a few years, and I was using Ibiza as like an escape mechanism.
Yeah, I've been there, definitely. I do that most weeks, if I'm honest. I'm not even. I hold my hands up, and I'm not afraid to say that a lot of the time, I think most of us, if we have issues, we don't look to, party less and spend more time off social media. We actually go the exact opposite. We think, okay, to feel better, I'm gonna go out, and I'll be honest, like, I think I've watched a lot of these podcasts and people say, I'll have a few drinks. Let's be honest, most of us have taken drugs. We've drank a lot excessively, and temporarily you feel great, but it's all the aftermath, and the outcome of it is,
well, for 4 months I was abusing drugs 4 days a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drugs 4 days a week, and then I was I was already trying to escape my own mind, and then imagine your mind coming back to reality after those 4 days of abuse, and then ready to go again. And it was it's
heavy,
but I was doing that to myself. Obviously, I was already struggling.
Yeah.
But I was doing nothing to help myself out. I was just going out and getting smashed because that's what I thought that I had to do at that time.
Yeah.
I was so helpless that I couldn't talk to anybody about how I was actually feeling. That I just felt, I don't know, almost that when I was high, when I was on drugs, I weren't thinking about it so much. And even when I did think about these thoughts that I didn't like cropping up, they didn't affect me because I was high, So it just ended up in a spiral.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's my experience.
Yeah.
Not to say everybody's is like that.
No, of course. That's why I say I'm sure there's a lot of success stories that have come out of people who've gone to Ibiza. I think hopefully when I'm mature enough, in probably another 10 years or so, I might try 6 months out there, but I don't think I'm ready anytime soon, and I'll happily admit that. But how was your personal experience? Because I kind of said goodbye to you and everyone else did. Yeah. Then you went on TV, and then it was all a bit mad for now. So how was your experience on the island?
So for me, I was kind of lucky in a way, because so basically, I went with a friend who was quite grounded and quite sensible.
Yeah.
And that kept me on the straight and narrow the whole time I was there. He was all, we need to get a proper job. We need to get sick accommodation away from everything so we can have that time away. We're not. I'm sure anyone who's done a season knows of a place called Esvedra, the creme de la creme of Ibiza. And if you stay there, it's kind of like party 24/7, as I'm sure people would know. And my friend was couldn't have been more, what's what I'm looking for, away from that, if you like. And it was basically thanks to him that I was just literally away from all that majority of the time.
So that's good though. I mean, I wasn't hoping for a different version of events, but I think it's nice to hear that that's, like I say, a positive story where, like I say, not all cases you come across on Instagram are actually behind the scenes. It's nothing like that. There are a lot of people who go out there on the straight and narrow, and they achieve it because they don't fall into that trap. Yeah. But I think we could all agree that I I'd like to say the large majority of people who do go out there, you know, they don't really have a game plan when they go out there.
Yeah.
And then you imagine you're going out there for 6 months, minimal sleep, excessive use of social media, hitting drugs probably at least, like Dan said, 4 or 5 times a week, plus drink.
Yeah.
And then you come back after all that to nothing. I can't personally think of anything worse. And you wonder why there's so many, you know, kind of issues
And then
with people mentally.
to go back next year.
Yeah.
They end up in a vicious cycle.
Yeah. And I'm not knocking anyone for it. I just think it's something that we need to take more of a step back on and think, okay, yeah, I might have, you know, such an increase in followers on Instagram and I look like I'm living the dream, but really take a step back. Am I really happy about the place where I'm at?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's an individual, aren't they?
Of course.
But, you know, people come back from, you know, there's nothing wrong with doing a season, especially if you want to get something out of it musically or, you know, to make contacts if you're in the industry. But I feel like a lot of people, and this is, again, my opinion, a lot of people go and do a season, and I know I did, as an escape, and then they come back to England and then they go to a job that they hate again, and then they go to work all week.
Yeah.
And then on the weekends they do the same as what they were doing in Ibiza until next summer when it comes back to go to do a season and they go to Ibiza again.
Yeah.
And for a while that becomes like a self-perpetuating cycle.
Yeah.
And they think they've got problems.
Yeah.
But really, we're just fucking ourselves up.
Yeah, it's true. It's real talk. And I think it's like you put up a really good post the other day on World Mental Health there where you were saying about there are a lot of people that, you know, it's not to say that you don't suffer with depression and anxiety or stress, any kind of underlying mental health issue. But I think that's even more reason. And I can speak from personal experience. Like, it's not something that I talk about that often because obviously it's quite a private matter, but even from early teens, I've suffered with, you know, like heavy overthinking, thinking, oh, I've got this illness or that illness, when actually there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I've been to the doctors, I'm fine. But then if I've got a lot of other issues as well, and then I think, oh yeah, I'm gonna go on, you know, this holiday and all I'm gonna do is take drink and drugs. Then when I come back to a job there, you know, I am grateful that I've got a good full-time job, but my passion is the music industry. I don't want to be in that office job the rest of my life. But then to mask those problems, I'll then go out again and I'll do more drink and drugs. Yeah. And then, but I think a lot of people have, like you said, when people messaging you, this perception that, oh, like you look like you're smashing it because, you know, you're having a photo with someone famous, or you know, you might have a load of.
You flipping on holiday every day of the week.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
But mentally, that, I mean, even though people do think, oh, if you're moving from country to country all the time, I think it's a big thing that a lot of people in the industry that work in it full time have said that's definitely something else that it's that is a bit of a misconception when you take into account all the time spent in airports and hotels and being lonely, and that people don't see that side of social media.
Exactly, yeah.
All you see is someone playing to several thousand people, and you know they look all happy in that because they've had a fair few drinks and whatever else. I know not everyone does it, but a lot of people do dabble in the other stuff as well. And
but you know, we are human. And
yeah,
we're always going to want what we haven't got.
Of course.
We're always looking to the grass is greener. And, you know, and as humans, we do compare ourselves to other people because we want to fit into the tribe, you know. But the tribe's too big now because 1 million social media followers, that's completely different to what, you know, tribe we were living in when there was only 100 people in our whole life.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're seeing this person on holiday and we think, oh, they're living their best life. But that's just a snapshot. And, you know, we're then going to compare our own lives to that snapshot.
Yeah.
So we're comparing ourselves to this fake reality when actually we need to just focus on ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
It is true. I mean, I'm intrigued as well because I've never read into it personally. Why is social media so addictive? Because I can personally say I don't know what you're like on it. How often do you use it? But I mean, I think with the nature of my work, obviously I do my full-time job in banking. I don't need to use social media for that at all. Like the last thing I want to be reading about is banks and corporations. I couldn't give a flying fuck, to be honest. But in terms of the artist management and, you know, obviously running Undergrowth with Fleur, so you've got like promoting that, the parties, and then You know, sometimes I don't really tend to do the creative writing as much anymore, but I'm always on it because I'm always looking to network with that next person. I don't use that as a negative way, but I know that I do spend too much time in it. When I wake up in the morning, if I wake up like 4 a.m, I'm thinking like, check my phone. Well, what's the point? No one's gonna message you here at 4 a.m. unless it's a booty call on Sunday morning. apart from then, of course, which never happens. But yeah, I mean, even when I'm at work, I've tried to limit it then, because you imagine I'm trying to do this mortgage job where I've got like, you know, quite a high pressure role with mortgage customers who are in debt, and then I'm also trying to get a booking for someone at the same time. Obviously, that's my choice. It's not that. You know, and I suppose it is my choice, but I do think there is a lot of pressure at the same time because of the fact we're so easily accessible. Is because everyone knows we're all on our phones. When someone asks you, like, you know, we need to get this date penciled in, you're literally given like a 10-minute deadline, and if you're not there, it's like, sorry mate, it's gone now. But it's like, I think we do need to stop placing so much pressure on one another as well.
And the thing is, it comes back to, you know, when we was talking about the tribe, we like to be connected to those people around us, because if we wasn't connected, then we wouldn't survive. And when we are on social media and we're connecting with people, and, you know, we're, you know, instant messaging or we're getting likes, that releases dopamine. So that's the pleasure chemical, and it makes us feel connected to people. So imagine something is in your hands, and at the click of a button, you could be getting the pleasure chemical being released. You know,
I can relate to that, because it's almost like, say for instance, I haven't seen you for like a couple months, and I watch your story on Instagram like a few days in a row. It feels like I've seen him. I haven't actually gone anywhere near
weird.
Do you know what I'm saying? So, like
you haven't really connected.
Exactly,
you know
but you kind of got your fix in a way of seeing that person because you've watched their story. And it's bad, man. That's the thing, but it's just the way it is, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would say personally, with my experiences on social media, like since I moved to Birmingham in 2016, I've used it more and more, because started off literally just as a promoter, now known as Mr. Write-Up, all the people that want to banter me for all the write-ups and whatnot, but I've used it more and more through like the creative writing, which was definitely a good platform for me, because I was lucky enough to. I prefer the face-to-face networking over the social media networking, because I find it's a lot more personal. You're not just speaking to someone behind a phone or behind a screen. You're having the decency and you're making the effort to go and speak to them face-to-face. And it was when I met Bradley Gunn, before he was even famous, in Rainbow Smoking area. Just got chatting to him, and then became good friends. Every time he'd come to Birmingham, I'd always, you know, make sure to go and see him or whatever event he was at. And then, you know, quickly he was like catapulted into the public eyes, you know, the sober raver, someone who had like a massive positive influence. And I'd say like with the work that I'd already done with like the creative writing and the relationship that I formed with him, that was amazing for me, because it gave me so much more exposure then. And I'd have artists who I actually looked up to, and they were saying, oh, would you mind writing me a bio? Or if I sent them a bio, they'd actually be like, oh yeah, I've seen some of your work. Like, obviously my work isn't amazing by any means. There's a lot of other far more talented creative writers out there, but I'd like to think that I show passion with what I do, and it comes across through the social media platforms. And the doors that's opened for me, it's not that I did it because I want to gain something from it. I did it because I was passionate, but the knock-on effect from that has been massive. Like, Brad would be kind enough to say, do you want to come to this event with me? And then I'd get to meet other people in the industry that were far more established and influential. So it's definitely like the work that I did in social media then had a real like positive knock-on effect with other things as well.
It weren't just like you're being successful because you're not just behind social media.
Yeah.
You actually made the steps to go and connect with him like face to face.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true.
So if you were just that person, that bot, then would you have the connections that you actually have?
No,
you know,
100% not.
Turn up and meet them. They get to know.
It's like a lot of these people in the industry, people are there like, why is nothing happening? Why aren't they making any progress? It's because it's simple. You got to fucking get up and go and get it. These things aren't going to fall on your lap. You look at like, you know yourself, so I don't really DJ anymore. People realise I wasn't very good. Obviously, Josh took my place, took all my bookings.
Callum, bro. Listen, I heard you shut it down many times on that terrace. You're too modest, man.
But I'm sure you would agree with me that there's so much competition out there, and it's so saturated
100%,
that just
100%.
putting out a mix, or even there's a lot of good music out there that gets unnoticed because people aren't willing to just go out there and go and connect with people face to face and show how committed they are and how keen they are to really go to that next level.
Literally, bro, hit the nail on the head. It's like you say, it's so saturated that just doing a mix or just making a banger isn't good enough. You have to, like you say, go out and network, go to the events that you wanna play, go to the promoters' events that you want to get in with. Like it's a whole package in a way.
Yeah,
you can't
it
just
is.
do one of the things that you want to, like, oh, I've got free time so I can go to this event, but I won't put the hours in the studio.
Yeah.
So I'm a rubbish DJ when I do get a set. Like you need to put the effort in everywhere, and like I think it's easy to see the people who do and people who don't. So it's just crazy, man.
Yeah.
You know, we need to make connections with people. You know, that's what we like to do. And if you're just rolling out, you know, mixes and there isn't a face to it, then who's actually going to buy into it?
Yeah.
People actually have to get to know your personality. And I think, you know,
Very
that
true.
can be a good thing that social media does provide people. If you're not having to put across this fake persona and fake reality that you think you've got to, if you're being your genuine self and alongside rolling out mixes, bangers, you know, turning up to things, then you're going to be successful.
Yeah, it's just to touch on that, I know people probably will think, well, bloody hell, but a good example of that is probably Fisher.
Yeah.
Because he's created a brand around his personality.
Yeah,
That's
has,
what people
100%,
like. So
yeah.
people go to see him live because of his personality and that persona on his presence on social media. Do you know what I mean? So
I think people will put him down, but he's played the game. He's played it well.
Exactly.
Like the fact that he's getting booked for as much as he is done now, and the crowd sizes that he's playing to. I know that people might say, "Oh yeah, maybe he attracts a bit more of a commercial crowd." Like it doesn't matter. You can try and put the guy down as much as you want, but he's the one laughing at the end of the day when he's earning that much a set, and he's flying to all these countries, and he's you know living the life that he is. I don't know if he's 100% happy all the time. Fleur supported him. Well, exactly. Yeah, it's like, you know, you're never going to be 100% happy all the time anyway. But it's like Fleur supported him when we flew out to Budapest for her international debut, and it is mad, like you say, because of how he is on social media and like how entertaining he is, and then you see that in person, it's almost like the crowd completely changes.
There was so much energy. Wasn't
Yeah.
there? But that's
did it
why
change when he come on? Yeah.
No, because we could see who he was when he come up, but when he started DJing, and I think this is another thing that DJs have got to realise. You got to actually look like you're enjoying yourself.
It's true. It is true.
Do you know what I mean? A lot of DJs stand there and they're like,
yeah, because they think it looks cool to look all moody and all black. And
Like, why? How is a crowd going to be energized? And like, you know, what you're giving off, you're reflecting, you know, yourself onto the crowd. If you want them to be dancing and you want them to be feeling what you're putting out, you know, why don't you look like you're enjoying yourself? Like so many moody DJs.
Yeah.
But he, like, as soon as he stepped on stage, it was different. Do you know what I mean? And that's why he's successful.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think as well, it has been really good exposure for, especially the work that me and Fleur have done since we've created Undergrowth, and with Elevate artists as well. I mean, I'm sure that, you know, with you, with me, myself and Mind, and with your personal stuff that you're working on, like, it is a tool that if you use it right and you use it wisely, it's as big as it is for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of promoting that I've done on there, like consistently promoting away with Undergrowth and with Elevate artists, and it's like the last event that we did with Toeman. I know that people probably saw that it was more, you know, that we're more of a party that places much more of an emphasis on the quality of the music, but it was how I use those platforms to promote Toeman and, you know, our residents Ryan and Fleur, and I didn't use one paid ad at all. I literally just promoted it as well as I could so that I wasn't nausing people and people thinking, fucking hell, I'm sick of hearing about this event. And it's like, if you use the organic shares and things like that, you don't always have to use your sponsored post. If you can utilise it, then utilise it well.
But I think it's because people are realising you're creating a real brand.
Yeah.
You know, you're not creating something because you want to get a quick paycheck and you want to just invite people that are the next biggest thing, but just because they can pull a crowd.
Yeah.
You're interested in the music.
Yeah.
And surely, you know, when you go to a rave and when you go to any music concert,
Yeah.
surely the music is the
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And because that's what Undergrowth is doing, I feel like that's the sort of crowd you're going to attract, and it may take a bit longer to build up.
Yeah, but I'd rather it be like that. I would rather honestly have 200 people in a room. Like, I was really chuffed when you came to the last event and you were there as well, and it felt like all those months of hard work where I'd put it all into social media, and me and Fleur had gone and done the flyers, the face-to-face networking as well. Yeah. On the actual night, I was so stressed about people enjoying themselves, and I got into the flow of things, and Tom actually looked at me and he goes, "Hey, bro, you chilled out now?" And I was like, yeah. But I think that's what people don't see. They see, we're there with our arms around the headliner, and we're there, when we were taking all the decor down on the Monday, and we're smiling because luckily it paid off. All those months of hard work have paid off. But I think people need to realise, especially with your promoters, your event managers, festival owners, even if you're doing intimate events, when you've got those overheads, it's not all pretty. There's a lot of pressure on, even when you're promoting an event 2 months in advance, and then you're looking at your ticket count, and then you're wondering, like, I'm working hard at this, but why are we not selling the tickets? And there's a lot of anxiety until you sell those tickets, and until you've made your overheads back, then it's not fucking pretty at all. No, there's a lot of pressure.
Like, Fleur wouldn't even check the tickets.
Yeah, because that's an anxiety cause.
I don't even want to check it because that was causing her more anxiety and more stress. But the thing is, to do anything in life, whether it be music or anything, or, I'm trying to build me, myself and mind, there's going to be a lot of times where, you are, selling 50 tickets, as opposed to the hundreds and the thousands.
Yeah.
You've got to start off small, and you've just got to keep at it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
This is your, the fourth event?
Fourth or third event? I think since we moved it to Lab 11, me and Fleur have agreed that was more when we were getting more exposure. So yeah, it's probably like the fourth, but it's taken us a good couple of events just to be hitting the 200 mark, and we know that it's getting to where it needs to be, but that's because we're putting the time in social media, and we're taking advantage of a tool that's there. It's like when people throw a party and they might book a good headliner, and then they release artwork when they announce, and then there's no work put in there at all, and then they wonder why they've sold no tickets or it hasn't performed very well. It's like, well, you need to think about the lack of work that you've put in, not what you have put in. What could you have done more? And I'd like to think that not every event I've done has been perfect. When I did my charity events, I put so much work into that, and there was one event I did that didn't work out that well, but that's just how it is. At least you can walk away with your head held high, thinking, you know what, I put in as much work as I could, and I couldn't have really done any more. Definitely. But I think as well, just before we briefly move on, is, I mean, my negative experiences since I started in artist management, so that's been just over a year now. Fleur was obviously the first artist that I started managing in September last year, is I think because of the amount of people that I'm networking with in the music industry, I was following, your big promoters and your tour managers and people like that, and your artists, and I was thinking, why haven't I got that? Like, they're on a private jet, or they're in these 5-star hotels. Why am I in this poxy house share? Yeah. And I still got to go and do my 9-5. But it's like, what I've come to realise is these people, they didn't achieve this overnight, and I think that's what we need to start realising more is.
I feel like a lot more successful people need to sort of start posting the journey pictures. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Where they started out at, and because it's not all pretty, like you were saying. It ain't going to happen overnight.
It's true.
So, and people get put off by that. Like we were just saying, you could have easily got put off by the second event. You did. But you have to keep going.
Yeah, it's true.
I think a lot of these big promoters and these big influencers on social media need to, take responsibility to also put out there that they didn't just grab it. It takes time,
Yeah. I mean, I spun the negative into a positive because, like I say, I took a step back and thought, why are you putting so much pressure on yourself to become this, next Brian Epstein, next, massive artist manager, like, overnight? It's not going to happen. Like, I would never put pressure on my artists. I would always say to them, I'm here for the long run. But then I was putting pressure on myself to be like, you need to get them to this level. But then that's not fair on them because, you don't want to be pushy. You don't want to be like, oh, we need to get that music out because then we can live this life. Like, you just got to. One thing I would say to anyone is enjoy the process. Don't just sit there thinking, oh, like, why have I not got that? Because of who you're following. And we've touched upon it before. Is I'm very particular about who I follow. Like, I'm not going to follow some bullshit Instagram influencer who's trying to sell me a product or a supplement that they might not have even tried. I'd rather follow someone that's genuinely inspiring, whether or not that's in the underground industry or any other industry as well, because they're the kind of people you want to follow. People that are going to have a positive impact on you, especially the amount of time that we spend on social media. You want to make sure you're following the right people, not the wrong ones.
Because we're so easily influenced. And when people are looking at certain individuals and you do start comparing your life, you've got to make sure what you're comparing yourself to is sort of, right for you. Because what you're looking at on social media, you can also be causing yourself negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can be causing yourself a lot of doubt and a lot of anxiety and fear because of the people you're following.
Yeah.
Follow people that inspire your path. Don't follow those people that actually cause you to be envious and,
Yeah. It's true.
Just quickly. I see what you're saying, but then I think I can speak on the other side of that as the person who's on the other side thinking, right, I've got to post this, and this every day to make sure these people that are looking up to me have to keep looking up to me. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard on both sides, man. It's mad.
Definitely, but I think that's pretty much all we've got time for at the moment. But what I would say is just use social media wisely.
Yeah.
And if you feel like it's getting too much for you, then you need to be tactical about how you're using it. And I think that the main thing is as well, obviously we're all young, up and coming, promoters, DJs, or yourself with the well-being, is that we have to appreciate that we're moving forwards in time. Like, social media, it's not just going to disappear. Like, you've kind of got to use it, whether or not you see it as, like, as an artist, I want to be recognised more for the quality of my music, which I agree with. But you've still got to. Nowadays, I would say you have got to be present on social media.
You have to.
You do have to.
With anything in life, anything.
Yeah.
I would just say that if you are feeling the negative effects, then check your screen time.
Yeah.
Monitor how much you are using social media. And if it is too much, then I suggest that you start putting your phone down and leave it out the room, because it's so easy to keep picking your phone up when
I
you're
do that
bored.
all the time. You realise you got it on you, then I think I'm just going to throw it, because even having it on you, it's that tendency to just check it.
If you've got to go and
Check
do
it.
something,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
and do it without your phone.
Yeah.
Or when you're waking up in the morning, don't be checking your phone as the first thing you're going to
It's
do.
the first thing I
Get
do.
your routine.
Oh, it's the first thing I do as well, definitely.
Before I go to bed, every single morning when I wake up.
Yeah,
phone, boom.
Yeah, and that's
Everything.
just...
So it's time for change, boys. Time for change. But no, thanks very much for listening, everyone, and watching. We'll be back shortly with another podcast on the state of the scene at the moment. But yeah, thanks to our special guest Josh for coming, and Dan
Been a
from
pleasure.
the wellbeing perspective as well.
Sweet.